channel. In this video, I am gonna discuss about cofactor matrix, adjoint or adjugate of a square matrix, and inverse of all matrices. So let's start the video. Now, what is cofactor matrix? A is a square matrix of order n. Then a matrix B obtained by replacing each element of A by its cofactor in determinant of A is known as cofactor matrix of A. So let's suppose if A is some matrix of order n cross n in which entries has been denoted by Aij, then B will be some matrix of order n cross n in which all entries has been replaced by adjoint. So the entries will be like Aij, where Aij is a cofactor of Aij in determinant of A is known as cofactor matrix of A. Now, what is adjoint or adjugate of a square matrix? The transpose of cofactor matrix B of A is known as adjoint or adjugate of A. It is denoted by adjoint A, adjoint A. Okay, adjoint A is some matrix of order n cross n in which the entry has been denoted by capital Cij. Cij is a cofactor of Aj in determinant of A. If A is a matrix which is written like this, then adjoint A will be some matrix written like this. Now see this note. If A is a square matrix of order n, then A into adjoint A will be equal to determinant of A into identity matrix. This will be equal to adjoint A into matrix A. Now the proof says ith element of A into adjoint A will be equal to summation over j from 1 to n Aij into Bjk. This will be equal to summation over j from 1 to n Aij into Akj. The entry Bjk has been replaced by capital Akj because we know that in adjoint of A the entry has been like Akj. That will be equal to 0 if I is not equal to k, and that will be equal to determinant of A if I is equal to k. I have discussed this property in determinant. Okay, now see ith element of adjoint A into A will be equal to summation over j from 1 to n Bij Ajk. This will be equal to summation over j from 1 to n Aji Ajk, where Bij has been replaced by Aji. This will be equal to 0 if I is not equal to k, and this will be equal to determinant of A if I is equal to k. I have discussed this property in determinant. This result implies that every square matrix commute with its adjoint. Now, if A is square matrix of order 2, then its cofactor matrix is given by A matrix of order 2 cross 2 in which entry has been placed like this. Then the cofactor matrix B will be like this, and the adjoint of A will be like this. So both the diagonal entry has been replaced their position, and the non-principal diagonal line has been multiplied by -1 to get the adjoint. You can easily apply this rule in any square matrix of order 2. Now, what is non-singular matrix and singular matrix? A square matrix A is said to be non-singular if determinant of the matrix is not equal to 0, and singular if determinant is equal to 0. Now, see this note. Product of any number of non-singular matrix is again non-singular matrix, because you can see determinant of a1 into a2 up to an will be equal to determinant of a1 into determinant of a2 up to determinant of an. This will be non-zero because as it has been mentioned that it is the product of non-singular matrices. So now see this note. Product of any number of square matrix is singular if and only if at least one of them is singular matrix. So You can see this proof easily by yourself. Now, what is inverse or reciprocal of a matrix? A square matrix B, if it exists such that AB is equal to BA is equal to identity matrix, then B is said to be inverse of matrix A. It is noted by B is equal to A inverse, implies that A is equal to B inverse, implies that A is equal to inverse of A inverse. Now, the first condition is A should be square matrix. So, the proof says, let's suppose A is a matrix of order m cross n, then B will be some matrix of order n cross m. This will be equal to B into A will be equal to identity matrix. This implies that m is equal to n. Hence, A should be a square matrix. Now, the second condition was AB is equal to BA is equal to identity matrix. So from the second condition, AB is equal to I. So, taking determinant both sides, we will get the determinant of AB is equal to determinant of identity matrix. This will further implies that determinant of A into determinant of B is equal to 1, because we know that determinant of identity matrix is equal to 1, and we know that A and B are non-similar matrices. So, this will imply that determinant of B is equal to 1 by determinant of A. Determinant of A inverse will be equal to inverse of determinant of A. Now, dividing A into adjoint of A is equal to determinant of A into identity matrix is equal to adjoint of A into A by determinant, because we know that determinant is non-zero. So, we can divide by determinant of A. Now, this will further equal to A into adjoint of A divided by determinant of A is equal to identity matrix is equal to adjoint A divided by determinant of A into matrix A. So, the inverse of matrix A will be adjoint of A divided by determinant of A. So, a necessary and sufficient condition for a square matrix A to be invertible is that A should be non-singular, because we have shown determinant of A into determinant of B is equal to 1, and the product of two non-singular matrices is non-singular. So, both the matrices should be non-singular. Now, every invertible matrix has unique inverse. Proof says, let B and C be the inverses of invertible matrix A. Then AB is equal to AC. Pre-multiplying both sides by B, we get B into AB is equal to BA into C. We know that B is an inverse of A, so BA will be equal to identity matrix, so it will be equal to B is equal to C. So A has unique inverse. Due to uniqueness, A inverse is equal to adjoint of A divided by determinant of A. Now see, consider matrix A of order 2 cross 2 in which entry has been placed like this. Then the adjoint of A will be just replace the position of diagonal entries and then multiply all the non-diagonal entries by -1. You will get the adjoint of A. Now the determinant of A is equal to 5. Then the A inverse will be equal to this matrix. This is very simple. If A is an invertible matrix, then determinant of A inverse will be equal to inverse of determinant of A will be equal to 1 by determinant of A. Product of any number of invertible matrix is again invertible matrix. It is already proved, because invertible matrix is non-singular matrix and product of non-singular matrix is again non-singular matrix. So you can easily say product of any number of invertible matrix is again invertible matrix. Now see this note. Inverse of AB is equal to B inverse A inverse. So we have just applied the reversal law in inverse. Now you can see all of these written things by yourself. Now, identity matrix is the only idempotent matrix of its order which is invertible. Now the proof says, if A is idempotent matrix, then A square is equal to A. Now pre-multiplying by A inverse both sides, you will get A inverse into A. This will be equal to A inverse into A. A inverse A will be equal to identity matrix. Okay. identity into A matrix will be equal to identity matrix. This will further implies that A is equal to identity matrix. So it is very clear that identity matrix is the only idempotent matrix of its order which is invertible. Consider this set of identity matrix of order n where n belongs to natural number. So how many idempotent matrix this set contain? You can clearly say n belongs to natural number. So the answer will be infinite matrices are there which are identity as well as idempotent matrices. Now see this note. Every involutory matrix is invertible and it is self-inverse because A into A is equal to identity matrix. So consider this matrix in which entry has been placed like this. You can clearly see that this is involutory matrix. So it is self-inverse. So the inverse will be the matrix itself. Now no nilpotent matrix is invertible because they are singular matrices, and for being invertible matrix the matrix should be non-singular. Now inverse of orthogonal matrices are its transpose because A dash is equal to A dash A is equal to identity matrix for orthogonal matrix. Now by definition A dash will be equal to A inverse. Consider this matrix A. You can clearly see this is orthogonal matrix, hence A dash is equal to A inverse. Now A dash will be equal to A inverse. So just take the transpose of this matrix and you will get the inverse of the matrix. Consider matrix A. It is orthogonal, hence A. So inverse of this matrix will be equal to this matrix. Now I am going to try that this is true or not. So determinant of this matrix will be equal to 1 and adjoint of the matrix will be equal to this matrix and A inverse will be equal to this matrix. Hence A transpose is equal to A inverse. So it is verified. Now see this note. If A is invertible matrix then A dash is also invertible matrix and inverse of A transpose will be equal to transpose of A inverse. If A is invertible matrix then A into A inverse is equal to identity matrix. Taking transpose of both sides you will get this. Now by reversal law of transpose you will get this. So you can clearly see, and this will further implies that transpose of A inverse will be equal to inverse of transpose of matrix. This was the result we want. So that inverse of A transpose into transpose of A is equal to identity matrix. Okay, now see this note. Inverse of A into A transpose is equal to inverse of identity matrix and inverse of A transpose into inverse of A is equal to identity matrix. Transpose of A inverse into A inverse is equal to identity matrix. Hence A inverse is also orthogonal if A is orthogonal. A is any orthogonal matrix, then inverse of the orthogonal matrix is again orthogonal. Okay. If A is a matrix of order n cross n in which entry has been denoted by Aij is such that summation over j from 1 to n Aij is equal to Aki is equal to k, then which of the following is or are correct where del ik is equal to 1 if I is equal to k and 0 if I is not equal to k. Canonical delta. Okay, this is canonical delta. Then age orthogonal matrices. Okay, you can see this is the definition of orthogonal matrix which has been written in canonical delta form. Okay, now see all of these options. Now the first option says sum of the square of the elements in each row of A inverse is 1. Now you know that if A is orthogonal matrix then inverse of the matrix is again orthogonal matrix. So we know that in orthogonal matrix sum of the square of elements in each row of orthogonal matrix is 1. So the first option is correct. Now see the second option, sum of the square of elements in each column of A raised to the power minus 10 is 1. Now we know that if A is orthogonal matrix then A raised to the power n is also orthogonal matrix where n belongs to natural number, and we know that inverse of the orthogonal matrix is again orthogonal matrix, and we know that in orthogonal matrix sum of the square of elements in each column of orthogonal matrix is again 1. Okay, so the option B is also correct. Now you can also see that C option is correct and D option is incorrect because it has been said that sum of the square of elements in some row of a raised to the power minus 1 is not equal to 1, and we know that A inverse is orthogonal matrix, so sum of the square of all the elements in each row is 1. Okay, now see this inverse note. Inverse of unitary matrices are its conjugate transpose. So because A into A theta is equal to A theta into A is equal to identity matrix for unitary matrix. So by definition, A inverse will be equal to conjugate transpose of A. Now see this question, you can clearly see that this is unitary matrix. So its inverse will be conjugate transpose of this matrix. And the conjugate transpose of this matrix will be equal to this matrix. So this is the inverse of this matrix. Conjugate of omega is omega square and conjugate of omega square is omega, for better understanding. Now see this question, if A raised to the power 3 is equal to 5 into identity matrix, then you can write A into A square divided by 5 is equal to identity matrix. So this clearly implies that A inverse is equal to A square by 5. So you can get inverse of any matrix like this. Now see again see this question, if A square is equal to 2 into A, implies that A is equal to 2 into identity matrix. Now the proof says just pre-multiply both sides of A square is equal to 2 into A by A inverse. You will get A inverse into A is equal to 2 into A inverse into A. You will further get that identity into A matrix is equal to 2 into identity matrix, and this will imply that A is equal to 2 into identity matrix. Now see this note, if A is invertible matrix and AB is equal to null matrix, implies that B is equal to null matrix, and also CA is equal to 0 implies that C is equal to 0 matrix, because this is clearly said that A is invertible matrix and it means that A is non-singular matrix. So it implies that if any matrix has been multiplied with invertible matrix and giving us that a null matrix, so it means that the other matrix is null matrix, even it is multiplied even it is pre-multiplied or post-multiplied, doesn't matter. Okay, now the proof says AB is equal to null matrix. So now pre-multiplying by A inverse both sides, you will get A inverse into A into B is equal to A inverse into null matrix. This will become identity into B matrix is equal to null matrix. This will further imply that B is equal to null matrix. So it has been proved. Now the second condition is CA is equal to null matrix. Post multiplying by A inverse both sides, you will get CA into A inverse is equal to null matrix into A inverse. You will get C into identity matrix is equal to null matrix, and you will get C is equal to null matrix. So it is clear that if A is invertible matrix and AB is equal to null matrix, this will imply that B is equal to null matrix, and also CA is equal to null matrix. This will imply that C is equal to null matrix. Now, if A and B are two non-null matrices such that AB is equal to null matrix, then both B and A are singular matrices. Now the proof says, if A is invertible matrix, then B must be null matrix from the previous note, and if B is invertible matrix, then A must be null matrix from the previous note. But they are given to be a non-null matrices, hence both A and B are singular matrices. Okay, now see this note, if A is square matrix of order n, then determinant of the adjoint of A will be equal to n minus 1th power of determinant of matrix A. We know that A into adjoint of A is equal to adjoint of A into matrix A is equal to determinant of A into identity matrix. Taking determinant on both sides, you will get determinant of A into adjoint of A is equal to determinant of A into identity matrix. This will imply that determinant of A into determinant of adjoint of A, which will be equal to determinant of A raised to the power n into determinant of identity matrix. This has been written by property of determinant. Okay, this will further equal to determinant of A raised to the power nth. Now there are two cases. If determinant of A is non-zero, then the determinant of adjoint of A will be equal to n minus 1th power of determinant of A. Okay, now the second case says if determinant of A is 0, then either A is null matrix and A is non-null matrix. Okay, now say if A is null matrix, then adjoint of A is also null matrix. Okay, then you can clearly say that determinant of adjoint of A is equal to n minus 1th power of determinant of A, because there will be no violation of any definition. Now the second case, in this case, if A is non-zero matrix, then A into adjoint of A is equal to null matrix, implies that adjoint of A is not invertible, means singular. This implies that adjoint of A is equal to null matrix. So again, no violation of any definition if we write determinant of adjoint of A is equal to n minus 1th power of determinant of A, which both will have determinant equal to 0. Now see this note. We know that determinant of adjoint of A is equal to n minus 1th power of determinant of A. So it means determinant of adjoint of A will be equal to n minus 1th power of determinant of adjoint of A. This will be equal to n minus 1th power of n minus 1th power of determinant of A. This will be equal to determinant of A raised to the power n minus 1 raised to the power 2. Proceeding in similar way, you will get determinant of adjoint applied k times on A matrix will be equal to kth power of n minus 1 power of determinant of A. Now see this question for better understanding. If A is a square matrix of order 3 given by like this, then find all of these parts. So the proof says determinant of A will be equal to minus 2. Now for part A, determinant of adjoint of A will be equal to 3 minus 1th power of determinant of A. This will be further equal to minus 2 raised to the power 2. This will be equal to 4. Now for the part B, determinant of adjoint of 7 into A. This will be equal to 7. This will be equal to determinant of 7 into A raised to the power 3 minus 1 raised to the power 2. This will be equal to 7 raised to the power 3 into determinant of A raised to the power 4. This will be equal to 7 raised to the power 12 into minus 2 raised to the power 4. Now for part C, determinant of adjoint like 3 times 2 A raised to the power 3. This will be equal to determinant of A raised to the power 3 raised to the power 3 minus 1 raised to the power 3. This will be equal to determinant of A raised to the power 3 whole raised to the power 8. This will be equal to minus 2 raised to the power 24. This will be equal to 2 raised to the power 24, because we know that minus 1 raised to the power 24 will be equal to 1, and this will be equal to 8 raised to the power 8. Now for the D part, determinant of adjoint applied 4 times 2 into A inverse. This will be equal to determinant of 2 into A inverse raised to the power 3 minus 1 raised to the power 4. This will be equal to 2 raised to the power 3 into determinant of A inverse whole raised to the power 16. This will be equal to 2 raised to the power 3 divided by minus 2 whole raised to the power 16, because we know that determinant of A inverse is equal to 1 by determinant of A. Now this will be further equal to minus 4 raised to the power 16, and this will be further equal to 4 raised to the power 16, because we know that minus 1 raised to the power 16 is equal to 1, and this will be further equal to 2 raised to the power 32. See this question: if A is symmetric matrix and invertible, then A inverse is also symmetric matrix. True or false? Now the proof says transpose of A inverse is equal to inverse of A transpose. This will be further equal to inverse of A, because we know that in symmetric matrix A dash is equal to A. So the statement is true. Okay. Now if A is invertible and skew symmetric, then A inverse is also skew symmetric matrix. The proof says transpose of A inverse will be equal to inverse of A transpose, and this will be inverse of minus A, and this will be further equal to minus 1 raised to the power minus 1 into A inverse, and this will be further equal to minus of A inverse, and A inverse is also skew symmetric matrix. Now see this note: if A is invertible and K is any non-zero number, then inverse of K into A is equal to K inverse into A inverse. Proof says Ka into K inverse into A inverse is equal to identity matrix. Now see this note: if A is invertible matrix, then inverse of conjugate of A will be equal to conjugate of A inverse, and inverse of conjugate transpose of A is equal to conjugate transpose of A inverse. Proof. Now proof is very simple. A into inverse of A is equal to identity matrix. Taking conjugate on both sides, you will get this, and this will be further implies that conjugate of A into conjugate of A inverse is equal to identity matrix. This will further implies that inverse of conjugate of A is equal to conjugate of A inverse. Now conjugate transpose of A into A inverse is equal to conjugate transpose of identity matrix. This implies that conjugate transpose of A inverse into conjugate transpose of A is equal to identity matrix. This further implies that conjugate transpose of A inverse is equal to inverse of conjugate transpose of A. So if A is invertible matrix and Hermitian also, then A inverse is also Hermitian matrix. True or false? Conjugate transpose of A inverse is equal to inverse of conjugate transpose of A. This will be equal to A inverse from the above note. If A is invertible skew Hermitian matrix, then A inverse is also skew Hermitian matrix. True or false? Conjugate transpose of A inverse is equal to inverse of conjugate transpose of A, which will be equal to inverse of minus A, and this will be further equal to minus 1 raised to the power minus 1 into A inverse, and this will be equal to minus of A inverse. If A is a skew Hermitian matrix whose inverse exists, then adjoint of A is Hermitian matrix, skew Hermitian matrix, both Hermitian and skew Hermitian, neither Hermitian matrix and skew Hermitian matrix. And we know that A is skew Hermitian matrix, then its inverse will be skew Hermitian matrix also. Now we don't know about the adjoint of A, so let's discuss its answer. Now the proof says we know that A inverse is equal to adjoint of A divided by determinant of A. This will implies that adjoint of A is equal to determinant of A into A inverse. A inverse is skew Hermitian, and we know that determinant of skew Hermitian matrix is purely imaginary. So this implies that, and this will be equal to Hermitian matrix, because determinant of A cannot be 0 because A is invertible matrix, it is given, and option 1 is correct. And adjoint of Hermitian matrix is also Hermitian matrix. Now see this note: sum of two invertible matrix is not invertible matrix. Now see this example: A plus B. Okay, now consider A is identity matrix and B is minus identity matrix, and you can see identity plus minus identity is equal to null matrix, and null matrix is not invertible matrix. So you can't say that sum of two invertible matrix is again invertible matrix. Now see this note: sum of two invertible matrix may be invertible matrix. Identity plus 2 times of identity matrix. We can have so many examples for both of these two Now it means that if A and B are invertible matrices, then A plus B may or may not be invertible. For first case, you can write B is equal to minus of A, and for second case, you can write B is equal to 2 into A. Now see this note. If A, B and A times of A plus B times of B are invertible matrices, then B times of A inverse plus A times of B inverse is also invertible matrices. Proof is very simple. Just pre-multiply by A inverse and post-multiply by B inverse in A times of A plus B times of B. As A into A plus B into B, and B is invertible, hence their product is also invertible, and you will get A into A inverse, B inverse plus A inverse B, B into B inverse. This and A into A inverse will be replaced by identity matrix, and B into B inverse will be replaced by identity matrix, and you will get A into B inverse plus B into A inverse, which will be again invertible matrix. This implies that B times of A inverse plus A times of B inverse is also invertible matrix. So proof told us that if A, B and A times of A plus B times of B are invertible matrices, then B times of A inverse plus A times of B inverse is also invertible matrices. Now see this question. If A, B and 2 into A plus 3 into B are invertible matrices, then which of the following must be invertible matrices? So from the previous note, you can see that 3 times of A inverse plus 2 times of B inverse will be again invertible matrix. So you can see that E option and H option is correct, and all of other options are incorrect. If you want to proceed to all of these options, you can also approach to all of these options by this approach. Okay. Now A plus B whole square is equal to A square plus B square plus AB plus BA, and whole square of A minus B is equal to A square plus B square minus AB minus BA. We haven't written it like A square plus B square plus 2AB because we don't know that A and B commute with each other or not commute with each other. We have to write like this. Now see this question. If A and B are square matrices of order n such that AB is equal to BA is equal to null matrix and A plus B is invertible, then which of the following must be invertible? So we have two things. A plus B is invertible and AB is equal to BA is equal to null matrix. So we have to approach to all of these options by ourselves. For option A and for option B, you can see I have written sum of two non-invertible matrix, which is again invertible matrix. So it can be true that A and B may not be invertible matrix. So A and B option is wrong. Now in this case, AB is equal to BA is equal to 0. So A plus B whole square will be equal to A minus B whole square. Okay, and this will be equal to A square plus B square. Taking determinant both sides, we will get second power of determinant of A plus B, and this will be equal to second power of A minus B, because we know that A plus B is invertible matrix, so it is non-singular matrix. So A minus B is also non-singular matrix, hence A minus B is also invertible matrix. So option C is correct. Now product of two invertible matrix is again invertible matrix, hence A plus B into A minus B is equal to A square minus B square. So option D is correct. Now every power of non-singular matrix is also non-singular matrix, hence A minus B raised to the power 3 will be equal to A cube minus B cube, and A plus B raised to the power 3 will be equal to A cube plus B cube. Hence E and F option is also correct. Thanks for watching my video. If you like my work, then do subscribe my channel and like my video.